Language is a wonderful thing, isn't it? It allows us to communicate thoughts, ideas, ideals, and concepts of greater or lesser complexity with relative ease. Of course, language does have a handful of problems, foremost amongst them being the simple fact that, well, we made it up. As the essence of language is really just a series of noises that we have all, to a greater or lesser degree, agreed upon the definition and the meaning of. I speak to you today, for example, in English, which we have more or less recognized as the universal language. Primarily due to the power structures at the time, but hey, details. We've agreed upon it now and we shan't change it anytime soon. However, there are of course widespread disagreements on languages all across the globe. Meanings can differ even between regions within its own nations. And you can have more extreme differentials, like for example, the word hi in Japanese means yes. The word hi in Norwegian means shark. You can see how the two might cause a pinch of confusion. However, we, human beings, are also beautiful little creatures who have managed to figure out that yes, languages do exist. We've codified them, we've differentialized them. We are even capable of speaking multiple languages at the same time. Well, you get my drift. However, there is a little bit of a problem here. The simple fact that language is a made-up construct means that people who tend to not exactly be particularly honest can simply go, oh, that noise. No. You see, that noise actually means something completely different. And if they tell you this with a great enough quantity of self-confidence and authority, you, as a reasonable person without any active malice in your heart, might go, oh shit, well, I wasn't aware. What does it mean? And then you're given the brand new meaning. This is what we're seeing here with Bungie doing a little bit of virtue signaling. Not very effectively, mind you, but we'll get back to that in a moment. Being Latin AEOX is more than just locations on a map, just as being Hispanic is more than language we might speak. Now, immediately they've made a little bit of an error there, as the reader's context point out, as Latino and Hispanic are not actually interchangeable, but oh well, details. What's more immediately interesting in terms of language here is that 2 out of 4 of these don't actually mean anything. As you see, Latina is simply the feminine word, and Latino is simply the masculine word. Simple enough, right? Because Spanish is a gendered language, and it is a language spoken by a lot of people all across the globe. However, what then is Latine E and Latine X? Well, these, you see, are gender-neutral language. Ah, yes, modern bullshit, correct, absolutely accurate. And what is particularly funny here is that the progressives managed to invent a new word, Latinx. However, the word Latinx was universally rejected by the Latinos because, well, they didn't use X. Somebody didn't do their basic research into this, and so Latine E is the new term, sometimes preferred, especially when communicating in Spanish, for various reasons. Now, the only reason is because X is not really used in Spanish. This is why it is not Mexico to the Spanish people, to the Spanish language, it's Mexico. I probably butchered that, but you again get the general idea here. This made the entire idea of gender-neutral language a complete and absolute laughingstock, and the progressives, not enjoying being, having the piss taken out of them, are now trying to change it to Latine E, whilst also still adding in the X there as we didn't completely surrender on this now, did we? I hope you did. In fact, I would prefer it as, well, here's the thing. You can look at the usual comments and they're scathing enough, honestly, but the real fun comes when you click the magic button, the show things that the author hid from you button. Ah, yes indeed. You see, it has not fallen in particularly good graces. I like that one in particular. This is what we call a bit of a failed virtue signal right here, as again, two of these terms simply don't exist in the language used by the group you are trying to appeal to. Now, Bungie, of course, themselves, very progressive. In fact, I believe they were one of relatively few companies this last Pride cycle that actually did switch out their logo for the Pride equivalent, which, hey, at least they're sticking by their ideals. I guess that's something to laud them for, maybe, possibly. But this is, of course, merely just the progressives' finest weapon, yet again, the ability to redefine language. They've already more or less done this successfully with English, to the point where words like racist and bigot, for example, no longer mean anywhere near what it once meant. Bigoted, for example, used to mean that he was simply intolerant towards other points of views, whereas today, bigot means you are intolerant specifically towards the left wing's views, and that's it. Any and all other form of bigotry, like anti-right-wing bigotry or anti-white people bigotry, well, that's not bigoted, that's justice. Justice. Another word whose definition has somewhat morphed over the years. But Spanish has, well, it's been seen as a fighting ground of slightly less importance than English, for the simple reason that a lot of these people are, well, English. The main root of the feminist and the progressive movement also was in English. And, well, frankly, we in the Western world tended to be far more cucked in this regard, being a lot easier to run over with academic nonsense. Whereas the move into Spanish has been roundly and thoroughly resisted at practically every turn, which thumbs up to the Spanish community for that. Whether or not it will work, well, I hope it will. We see woke and progressivism receding everywhere around us, and making a genuine mockery of it, and of course the ever-useful community notes, is a wonderful way to try and make sure that they can't actually conquer a second language, because it will start with simple terms, by going like, no, you see, this is just inclusive. We're not taking away your masculine or feminine words. We're simply adding in one for those people who don't feel it represents them. That was the narrow wedge that introduced all of this nonsense into the English-speaking world, where all of us were like, okay, I mean, that's fair, I suppose. So long as you're not going to start taking away anything, I guess you get to add to it a little bit. Oh, wonderful! Now on to the meanings of the word racist. What? Why would you want to change that? Well, it's because we're about to be very racist, and we don't want to have it used against us. In essence. See, the beauty of the original Latinx, too, was the wonderful assumption that, well, the Spanish were just like everybody else, you see. They used X's too, said the Anglified academics, who then attempted to change the Spanish language to better suit their needs. It's kind of beautiful. Almost as delectable as watching Bungie get ratioed. Well, let me see here, 13.7 million views, 13,000 comments, and 4,500 odd likes. Yeah, not doing particularly well here, Bungie. Not that Bungie cares, of course, because as far as they're concerned, this simply proves, yet again, that the full world is full of evil, vile bigots, the vast majority of which appear to be Spanish. Huh. Oh, very weird. Well, good luck, Bungie, with convincing an enormous portion of the world's population that their entire language is in fact wrong, and that your Latine E and Latine X is totally better. I'm not rooting for you, in the slightest, in fact, and I hope you fall on your face. In fact, I hope that you continue doing this until everything finally collapses around you. Best of wishes and all that.